In the digital forensic world, every click leaves a trace. Every login, every file, every email, recorded in bits and bytes, waiting to be uncovered.
Hello, my name is Alifah Ilyana, a part of Digital Forensic Team. As a digital forensic investigator, I was responsible for identifying, preserving, acquiring, and analyzing digital evidence, while maintaining a strict chain of custody. For this case, which involves a suspected insider threat, I was assigned to serve as the digital forensics analyst. My task was to investigate a potential internal data breach involving after-hours access and unauthorized transmission of confidential files. I was responsible for acquiring and preserving digital evidence in line with established forensic procedures, ensuring data integrity throughout the process. This included analyzing system logs, connected devices, and file transfer activities to trace the user's actions and uncover how the breach occurred. Before diving into the details of the investigation, let's take a step back and understand what an insider threat really is. To better illustrate the concept and impact of insider threats, let's watch a short video that highlights real-world examples and the common patterns these threats follow.
Remote and hybrid work, digital transformation, cloud-based apps. They're all a critical part of how business gets done. But these shifts have also increased the potential exposure to insider threats. Insider threats are risks that stem from your users' access to critical data, systems, and other resources. Most workers need some form of insider-level access to do their jobs. But when that access is misappropriated, whether by negligence or malice, it can harm the organization in a myriad of ways. Not every insider threat is obvious, and there's no single approach to managing them, because they're not all the same. Malicious insider. Someone who has malicious intent to harm the organization from the inside. Negligent insider. Employees or third parties who make a mistake that causes a problem. Compromised insider. Someone whose account has been taken over by an outside attacker through phishing or credential theft. Managing insider threats starts with knowing the context of the incident and user intent. Negligent users need coaching. Malicious users need monitoring. And compromised users need to be protected.
While the office sleeps, the system tells a different story, of access, of movement, of data slipping through the cracks. This is where we begin.
The alert was first raised by the internal monitoring system, which flagged unusual access to the confidential folder outside regular working hours. At that time, most employees had already left for the day, and the building was nearly empty. The folder contained locked files related to a highly sensitive research project. These files were restricted and should have only been accessible during office hours by authorized personnel. The folder contained locked files related to Project Golden Spoon, including source code for a proprietary AI algorithm and internal architecture designs that were still under development. The data was considered highly confidential and critical to the company's competitive edge. Our team from the Digital Forensics and Incident Response Unit was immediately called in to investigate. According to the system logs, the folder was accessed late at night, followed by the connection of a USB device. Moments later, one of the confidential files was emailed to an unknown external address, indicating a serious breach and raising suspicion of an insider threat.
How do evidence personnel handle digital evidence?
Evidence handling began with the process of identification. I first identified all potential sources of digital evidence, including the suspect's workstation, USB device logs, email logs, and network traffic captured during the time of the incident. Surveillance timestamps were also reviewed to align digital traces with physical presence. For preservation, the suspect's workstation was isolated to prevent any further activity. We used a hardware write blocker and FTK imager to create a forensic bit-by-bit image of the hard drive, ensuring no modification occurred during the process. We also captured volatile memory using Belkacov RAM Capturer, which allowed us to collect data stored in active memory at the time of the breach, information that would otherwise be lost on shutdown. Next, we used USB Devu to review all USB devices mounted to the system, including time and device ID, helping us confirm that a USB was indeed connected during the breach window. To analyze internal communications, we exported the user's Outlook PST file for full email review, including sent, received, and deleted items. To verify the integrity of every data source, SHA-256 hash values were generated. These digital fingerprints ensured authenticity and confirmed that no evidence was altered during the acquisition or analysis. Finally, for documentation, I maintained a detailed chain of custody log. Every item was recorded, including evidence ID, acquisition time, hash values, and storage location, ensuring full traceability and legal admissibility. Once all evidence was secured, I began piecing together the timeline of the incidents. Starting with the hard drive image, I discovered that on the night of March 29 at 9:17 p.m., several documents from a restricted folder labeled Project Golden Spoon were opened. These files were flagged as confidential and locked under normal access controls. Just minutes later, at 9:20 p.m., a USB device, a Kingston data traveler, was connected to the suspect's workstation. This device had no previous record in our system and was not issued by the company. The logs showed a sudden spike in read and write activity, suggesting that files were being transferred. At 9:42 p.m., an email was sent to a personal Gmail account titled Meeting Materials, with a zip file attached. Proxy and firewall logs confirmed it was sent via webmail, likely to bypass internal security. The zip file size matched the transferred data, suggesting it was copied to the USB and emailed out. No overtime was reported that night. All signs pointed to deliberate and unauthorized data exfiltration. From the moment the internal alert was triggered on March 29, every action taken during the investigation was executed in line with strict digital forensic standards to preserve the chain of custody. We divided our approach into 4 key stages, which are initial collection, documentation, secure storage, and controlled access. Once the incident was confirmed, we began acquiring potential digital evidence. This included imaging the suspect's hard drive, capturing volatile memory, exporting Outlook PST files, and extracting USB connection logs. Every item collected was entered into Solaris Tech's chain of custody log, with a unique evidence ID, time and date of acquisition, tool used, and the identity of the handler. The original data was then securely stored in a forensic lab locker, with restricted access limited to authorized personnel only. Physical items, such as USB devices and the suspect's workstation, were sealed in evidence bags, clearly labeled, and locked inside a restricted access forensic cabinet. Access to all evidence was strictly limited to authorized digital forensics personnel. Each time an evidence item was accessed, moved, or examined, it was recorded in the custody log, including the handler's name, date, time, and reason. By carefully tracking every movement and maintaining secure storage, we ensured that the evidence remained untampered and legally credible at every step of the investigation. Based on the evidence collected and analyzed, it is clear that the data breach at Solaris Tech was the result of an insider threat. The suspect, a trusted employee, specifically a mid-level software engineer who had been with the company for over 3 years. This incident highlights a critical need for tighter internal access controls, real-time monitoring, and employee behavior analytics to detect and prevent similar breaches in the future. As a result, we recommend that Solaris Tech pursues disciplinary and legal action against the employee, implements stricter role-based access controls, enhances after-hours activity monitoring and USB restriction policies.
All companies companies protect their data. As a result, very few of them have had to deal with a security breach over the past 12 months. Oops, 73%. I guess we can never be too careful. The world is a busy place with people like you and I, generating vast quantities of sensitive data on a daily basis. Receiving, transferring, sharing across the four corners of the globe. But who is protecting all of that sensitive data? Who can help eliminate the risks of security breaches? And what if it were you? Accompany a businessman during an assignment. Be his guardian angel. Help protect his data and become foolproof on cybersecurity.